In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro affirmed that the country will never be a colony of anyone and that Venezuela maintains a policy of peaceful democracy in the face of aggressions from the United States. In the United States, the government shutdown will continue next week following the failure of a new vote on Friday in the Senate. And in Lebanon, hundreds commemorate the first anniversary of the assassination of Hezbollah resistance movement leaders. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We'll begin with the news. In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro affirmed that the country will never be a colony of anyone and that the country maintains a policy of peaceful democracy in the face of aggressions from the United States. During the international conference Colonialism, Neocolonialism, and the Territorial Dispossessions of Western Imperialism, the president made a call to the people to fight for their dignity and their right to exist in a sovereign and peaceful country in the face of imperial threats in the region. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro also ratified his country's commitment to peaceful diplomacy and its anti-imperialist character. The event was attended by more than 130 delegates from 59 countries, which discussed new models of colonization and the right of peoples to coexist in peace and harmony with one another.
We know enough about diplomacy, and we could paraphrase Chavez from that February 29, 2004, when he declared the anti-imperialist character of the Bolivarian Revolution of the 21st century. There is enough diplomacy here, diplomacy for peace, if peace is wanted, and we seek peace, and diplomacy, also to confront the new imperial attempt to colonize our America, and fight however we have to fight, in the stage that we have to, in order to preserve the dignity and the right to life, to peace, and the existence of our people.
During an exclusive interview for multi-platform teleSUR, Russia's representative for Latin America and the Caribbean, Alexander Steinin, emphasized that the fight against colonialism and neocolonialism deserves deep attention from the international community.
The fight against colonialism and neocolonialism is a matter deserving deep attention from the entire international community because of the lasting effects they cause. Contemporary neo-colonial practices worldwide present a major obstacle to development, not only for the countries of the global south in Asia and Latin America, but also for the global economy overall. Therefore, it is essential to restructure the political and economic spheres based on true multipolarity, so that economic, political, social, and cultural neo-colonial practices no longer hinder the global development we all hope for.
At the same time, Russia's representative for Latin America and the Caribbean emphasized that combating drug trafficking is an important issue that must be addressed carefully without deploying forces in the Caribbean that violate the sovereignty of countries.
The issue of combating drug trafficking is important, but it cannot be addressed through massive force deployments. Instead, it requires meticulous cooperation among all countries, both drug producers and consumers. This issue deserves careful, committed work from all involved forces, not demonstrations or threats against the sovereignty and integrity of sovereign nations, as is currently happening in the Southern Caribbean.
We're going live now to Venezuela to hear statements of the Executive Vice President of the country, Delcy Rodriguez.
Organization of our communal circuits, in our territories, in our national territory, if they dare to attack Venezuela, the Venezuelan people is organized, it's ready and trained and enrolled to defend peace. We're not a country that is a threat to anyone. We respect international law. We relate to other countries with brotherhood, cooperation, friendship. We do not threaten any people. We do not cause damage to any people. The Venezuelan people today is on permanent alert to defend peace and tranquility in Venezuela, to guarantee our peaceful future. Those who want an aggression against Venezuela will not be able to succeed, because they would have to overcome the strength of the spirit of this country to defend its peace and its tranquility. And we are close to Christmas, and we already have the Christmas spirit in us, with collective harmony in our families, to feel more united nationwide in a collective responsibility, which is the responsibility of defending Venezuela. Over the last 100 years, President Maduro said, we have watched this perfect fusion, political, people, police, and army. We also saw other support from other countries like Venezuela, like Colombia. First of all, we want to acknowledge the courage of our friend, of our brother president from Colombia, Petro. We are raising the flags of Latin American and Caribbean countries. We are raising the flags of truth. We don't have anything to do with drug traffic to the United States. It is something that pertains to the United States, to its system, internal, domestic, its health system, which does not guarantee a cure for addicts, and they want to solve their domestic issues, declaring wars on other countries and try to disturb tranquility in a whole region. So this is not against just Venezuela, it's against all of the Americas. They want to create disturbance, just like they did with the economic war, which has created an influx of immigrants, and they have disturbed stability in our region, in Venezuela, and they are trying to attack Venezuela. But if the Venezuelan people there's something it has demonstrated its capacity to withstand and heal its own wounds in the economy and seek economic development for our own people through its own sacrifice and will determination. And today we are guaranteeing peace. And when we say there's a fusion, a union between the people and the military and the police, it is because we are integrated at every single territorial level, but at systemic integration as well, protection, defense of Venezuela and its peace. And to wrap up, you have said Venezuela will not kneel before any empire. What can you say to the U.S. empire? Yesterday, President Maduro said it very clearly, we will never yield. We will not hear any other call other than that from the Venezuelan people. The Venezuelan people loves independence, self-determination. We do believe in the right of peoples to decide their own destiny, their own political system or economic system and social systems based on our culture, our national identity. Above all, the most sacred thing is based on our history, the history of liberators, the blood that is in that liberators' blood, which is present in present generations, people that believe sovereignty is sacred. We were listening to the
statements of the Executive Vice President Delcy Rodriguez addressing the people in the framework of the special military drill that is taking place across the nation as the country prepares itself even more and gets ready to defend the sovereignty of the nation. Let's now take our first break. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We're going to be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, citizens continue to rally against President Trump's anti-immigrant policies while the executive deploys more federal troops to suppress the protests in different cities. Let's hear more details with our correspondent Jorge Gestoso.
Thank you. At this hour, troops from the Department of War, ordered by the Secretary of Homeland Security, are on their way to Chicago, a sanctuary city, in order to quell the protests against the policies of anti-immigration of this government. Most definitely, there are being the protests all along this area, just facing the headquarters of the ICE headquarters, and there has been arrests, there has been detentions against in the last hour, but the thing that was really calling the attention of all the media, even in the United States, and the repudiation of most of the American people are images that show a raid that has been taking place night before yesterday in a south building of Chicago, where 300 members of ICE and the National Guard were taking the residents of that building, mostly Venezuelans and Afro-Americans, even in the middle of the night with a helicopter surveilling the area, and they were taking into detention. Some people were talking about 37 of them, that there were Venezuelans, Mexican, Colombians, and Nigerians, with the argument that they are members of the Tren of Aragua drug cartel, and there is no proof at all. But most definitely, the idea was, what it was showing is an increased use of violence in these procedures. So much so that Veronica Castro, that is a member of a coalition in defense of the immigrants, says, quote, "This is not security, this is terror." We get back to you now.
The government shutdown in the United States will continue next week following the failure of a new vote on Friday in the Senate, where division between Democrats and Republicans parties shows no signs of abating. The Republicans failed to pass their budget extension bill until November 21st due to lack of support from the Democrats. Republicans have a majority in the Senate with 53 seats out of 100, but they need 60 affirmative votes to pass the budget package. Seven federal agencies and about 750,000 workers have been without funding since Wednesday, when the U.S. fiscal year ended and Congress was unable to provisionally extend the budget. The Senate meeting this weekend is no longer likely due to the lack of agreement between the parties.
Well, we just heard that Speaker Johnson said the House is out again. Johnson and House Republicans care more about protecting the Epstein files than protecting the American people. And the bottom line is, today we saw the Republicans run the same play and they got the same result. The question is, will they change course? The votes aren't there. It's clear from today's vote. The bottom line is, there's a simple way to end the shutdown. Come and sit down and negotiate a fair bill with us. Yes.
Yeah. And what does the president do? $20 billion to Argentina, while our soybean farmers have literally had their entire market dry up. So what else has he done in response to our serious request to have negotiations? He posts a deepfake video with sombreros in it, and he thinks that's funny.
And almost 30,000 Hondurans voluntarily returned to the country or were deported from different places foreign so far in 2025, according to the National Institute of Migration. According to data published by state institution on its website, most of the 29,749 arrivals of nationals until September 25th are for reasons of deportation, followed by regular and voluntary returns. According to INM count, the United States tops the list of countries of origin with 22,595 people, followed by Mexico with 3,798 and Guatemala with 3,318. And the death toll from a school collapse in Indonesia rose to 14 on Friday after recovery crews pulled multiple bodies from beneath the rubble. Dozens of students remain unaccounted for, and the death toll is expected to increase. Rescuers initially searched by hand for survivors after a building caved in Monday, but with no more signs of life detected by Thursday, they turned to heavy excavators equipped with jackhammers to help them progress more rapidly. By Friday evening, they had found 9 bodies, bringing the confirmed death toll to 14, with nearly 50 students still unaccounted for.
Yang 9 ini yang bentuk
9 bodies we found yesterday are still undergoing the identification process, and 49 are still missing.
kesulitannya adalah
The difficulty is that these victims are children, so they don't have ID cards or fingerprint records. Therefore, one way to identify them is through DNA testing.
Now have our second break coming up. Before we invite you to join us on our Facebook page at teleSUR English, where you can follow our live broadcast, stay up to date on the latest information across the world, and much more. So hit the subscribe button and follow the page to stay up to date. And I'll be right back after this final short break.